Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, you should all take a victory lap because boys and girls, you have got Sony running scared. They have finally realized what a disastrous dumpster fire of a state they have found themselves in and the real reasons as to why they are trying to purchase the Elden Ring, Dark Souls, and everything else, all of the other wonderful games that this company has produced. Company out there is because guess what? Sony realizes they have screwed up and it's been one disastrous dumpster fire after another for them, and they are trying to make a change. And holy cow, boys and girls, the winning is just getting so good. So shout out to all of the folks out there that actually work at Sony over at PlayStation that actually still have some common sense left and actually let us know what's going on inside of things so we can report on it, so we can talk about it. And shout out to Eddie Mon for all of his wonderful insiders out there making the truth be known about the disastrous dumpster fire that is going on inside of Sony and the fact that they realize they have screwed up, and eventually you do indeed run out of other people's money and you cannot continue going down this path trying to find the modern audience that simply does not exist. And guess what? Since that election, I think nobody can deny in any way, shape, or form that common sense folks, common nerds out there have actually won, and the disastrous dumpster fire that the modern era finds themselves in is not going to pay the bills, boys and girls. So that's exactly what we've got over here from fandompulse.substack and our dear sweet John F. Trent. Sony insider claims reveal why Sony wants to purchase Kadokawa. And oh, boys and girls, color us shocked there. These insiders over there that Eddie Mon have leaked this information to him to reveal the fact that Sony has officially realized that they have screwed up and they cannot continue to go down this path. And boys and girls, that's because of every single one of you out there who have completely and totally tuned out and turned off everything that comes with Sony PlayStation out there, and every single person of you that has pushed back against the agenda on every single path. And boys and girls, take a victory lap because you deserve it. So we're going to check out this article from fandompulse.substack.com. But before we do, if you do enjoy our content, hit that like button, share with all your friends, and subscribe or follow if you have not already, boys and girls, because we are grinding, we are growing, and I could not do that without every single one of you. Also, leave us a comment in the section down below. Does it surprise you at all that Sony now actually realizes that they have screwed up and they have to go into a different direction and they have to actually hire outside people? They essentially have to buy outside people in order to actually make Sony and PlayStation great again. Let us know what you think about all that in the comment section down below. And if you'd like to support the channel, please check out the links in the description as well. So from our dear sweet John F. Trent over at fandompulse.substack.com and Eddie Mon, because this is all reported in his video. So if you haven't already, make sure you go follow him for all of the latest updates when it comes to this kind of stuff. An alleged Sony insider claims to reveal why the company wants to purchase Kadokawa, the parent company of Elden Ring developer From Software. Reuters initially reported that Sony was in discussions to purchase Kadokawa, which is the parent company of video game developers Spike Chunsoft and From Software, as well as manga and light novel publisher Kadokawa Shoten, which publishes a popular title such as Sword Art Online, Mobile Suit Gundam, Kanashiwa, Records of Lodoss War, Neo Genesis Evangelion, Code Geass, Cowboy Bebop, and more. So obviously there's some pretty big franchises in that name right there. The outlet noted the talks between the two sides are ongoing, and if successful, a deal could be signed in the coming weeks, the source said. Kadokawa CEO Takashi Nakatsuno confirmed that Sony did inquire to purchase the company in a press release. He said, "There are some articles on the acquisition of Kadokawa Corporation, hereinafter the company, by Sony Group Inc. However, this information is not announced by the company. The company has received an initial letter of intent to acquire the company's shares, but no decision has been made at this time. If there are any facts that should be announced in the future, we will make an announcement in a timely and appropriate manner." So obviously deal's not done yet. It's just kind of in talks. It's just kind of an interesting, and Kodaku could still actually reject this. And honestly, I think for all the fans out there of Elden Ring and Dark Souls and everything else that they produced over there, I think all of us could be very happy with the fact that they would say, oh, no, please, hell no, don't touch this. I mean, really, I don't want Armored Core Fires. I don't really want Armored Core 7 to be a bunch of woke propaganda nonsense. Please, just give me a good, big robot fighting game. As for why Sony wants to purchase Kadokawa, YouTuber Eddie Mon shared what his insiders divulged to him. Shout out to Eddie Mon, and I apologize if I'm completely and totally butchering his name as well. He said, "From what I'm told by my source, the reason why Sony Japan," notice that there too, Sony Japan, which apparently is still actually running the show, even though they've gutted most of the offices over there, wants to own Kadokawa and From Software is because they're extremely frustrated by the constant underperformance of their Western-led projects. Oh, color us shocked there. You hire a bunch of activists to run your story, and all they do is literally run it right down into the ground. We're talking things like God of War, The Last of Us. Oh, of course. How'd that work out for The Last of Us 2, boys and girls? And of course, Concord being a big thorn in their side right now, and how all of that went down. Yes, the hundreds of millions of dollars that they have lost, nigh probably some billions of dollars that they have lost over the last decade on all of the disastrous dumpster fires. It has been one agenda-driven game after another, and guess what? Just like it blew up in the election, it is all blown up in their faces once again, and they're getting exactly what they deserve. And apparently somebody inside that company has half a brain left and is figuring out that, hey, guess what? What we're doing is not working. We need to change directions. By all means, that, I think, is definitely an understatement. Sony Japan is very angry that what used to be a promising Western push by their teams over in Sony America, that they're no longer making the big hits that they were accustomed to having before. As I'm told, Kadokawa entering PlayStation's brand and in turn From Software is seen as a massive opportunity in Sony Japan's eyes to vastly strengthen and rebuild their PlayStation brand into what deem is important and what the PlayStation should stand for as a platform in the future. And why wouldn't they want to? I mean, exclusives used to be one of the reasons why you would go out and buy the new PlayStation. I certainly have no interest in buying a PlayStation 5 at this point. There's no games out there that are so exclusive that I'm just dying to play and that won't eventually come to Steam so I can stream them here for you guys anyway. There's no reason to go out of my way and do that kind of thing. I mean, yeah, if somebody actually wanted me to play something like that and was willing to put all the money for it and all that kind of stuff, sure, I would. But at the end of the day, there's nothing out there that I want to go out there and play PlayStation. I mean, one of the reasons why I initially became a PlayStation guy versus over an Xbox guy was because the exclusives that PlayStation had, and I wanted to play those games more than I was interested in playing online with a bunch of other people out there. Like, literally, this is what they used to be. They used to be the standard for PlayStation and Sony, and obviously in the past few years, they've completely and totally fallen flat, and at the end of the day, we know why. It's because of the woke agenda. It's because of the cult taking over their company and pushing all of this kind of nonsense out there, trying to go after a modern audience that, guess what? Everyone has found out does not exist. It never has, and it never will. The audience is no different now than what it was 10 years, 20 years ago, or 100 years ago. People really don't change very much at their fundamental values out there. Really, just the technology increases and our overall knowledge of the world gets better. But at the end of the day, what people like has never, ever changed, no matter how much the woke agenda cultist people try to lie to you and tell that it has. He added, so they see things like Elden Ring success, the constant love for properties like Dark Souls or Sekiro to be something that should be intrinsically tied to what Sony Japan wants to continue and foster in the future. Please just don't make them Sony exclusives. Please don't make them PlayStation exclusives. Please don't do that. A little bit later, after claiming there was a bidding war for Kotaku between Tencent, oh God, and Sony, Eddie Mon revealed that his insider told him Sony wants to completely change their outlook going forward when it comes to how they make their games and who they are making those games for. Oh, wow. Color us shocked there. The modern audience that you've been begging to come and actually play your games that didn't show up for Concord and hasn't showed up for anything else doesn't actually exist. As Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, how'd that work out for them? How'd that work out for Dustborn? How'd that work out for Star Wars Outlaws? How has that worked out for any of these video game companies out there? At least somebody, thank the Lord and praise Jesus, there really is a remnant left inside of the PlayStation Sony company out there, and they actually realize the agenda-driven nonsense is not working for these games that you are making people for an audience that does not exist and cost you hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars. Yes, by all means, you have to change your ways. You have to go back in a different direction. Unfortunately, you might actually be opening up and garbling up one of the few video game studios out there that still actually gives us good quality games. But hey, we'll see what happens with this. Are you going to leave them independent and let them continue to make good quality games? Or is the woke activists inside of your company going to infect them and destroy them just like everything else they have? Do the smart thing, Sony, and don't allow that to happen. But at the end of the day, you'll get what you deserve, and we will see what happens. They want to be seen as a Japanese first developer, creating experiences more in line with what they used to be known for as opposed to now. And of course, why we would all like that. All of us want to see this. You know, it's one of them situations where I would much rather give these companies free advertising, promoting things I'm excited for, promoting things that I'm talking about, that I want to see actually end up doing really, really well out there. But at the end of the day, all they continue to give us is more reasons to roast them and talk about them and roast them over and over again and trash them and just to completely and totally ignore their games and watch them waste hundreds of millions of dollars, because that's exactly what they deserve. They have decided to bet on the woke agenda, and guess what? Everyone across the Western media entertainment, America and everywhere else, is finding out that that doesn't work. Even Disney is trying to change its ways. ABC is literally fact-checking The View at this point, boys and girls. It doesn't get much better than winning than that as well. So obviously there's a lot of other factors into them probably purchasing the company as well. Obviously we talked about all of the anime stuff that they got and all the different kind of publishing things, which obviously anybody that's not a fan of Crunchyroll and what PlayStation and Sony has done to that kind of product out there, obviously that is not a big excitement for you in any way, shape, or form. If anything, it's just more of dread that some of your favorite animes and some of your favorite manga out there will end up coming under the control of the Sony brand. But at the end of the day, boys and girls, you might actually be winning. Things actually might be getting better. There's somebody inside of Sony with half a brain left in their head that isn't completely and totally down for the cult and is not willing to watch a billion-dollar company completely and totally burn down for the sake of some kind of false god that doesn't actually give you any kind of returns. At the end of the day, it's one of those things we've been talking about for a long time. These companies would either go bankrupt or they would have to change their ways. There was no other direction to go. And now we're finding out who the true believers actually are. What are the companies that are completely and totally down with the cult, and what are the ones that are like, hey, we thought there was going to be money in this nonsense. Y'all lied to us. So guess what? We're actually going to go back to the fans. We're going to give you beautiful women, big tits, jiggle physics, and all the other kind of wonderful things you love out of video games because that's what actually sells. And guess what? At the end of the day, the audience hasn't changed. And all of you fans that have tuned out and tuned in and turned off all of this nonsense, who doesn't buy these games, who doesn't play this stuff, who doesn't buy the new PlayStation just because it came out, all of you won out there, every single one of you. Take a victory lap because we are winning, boys and girls. And it's because of every single one of you out there that have tuned all of this kind of stuff, tuned into all of this kind of stuff, made attention to what's going on actually out there, and completely and totally trashed Sony and PlayStation exactly as they deserve. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are winning. And this latest evidence, this latest leak from Sony is just another beautiful sign of that. And who knows, boys and girls, gamers might finally get exactly what we deserve because we have put the effort in, we have roasted these companies, and hopefully now we will actually be getting good quality games in the future. If not, by all means, boys and girls, I got a Steam category, I got a Steam library a mile long of things that I haven't played yet. So go ahead, keep making dumb moves, Sony, and we'll keep going back and playing the classics and watch you laugh and ridicule you as you burn down to the ground. At the end of the day, make the smart choice, make the fans happy, and who knows, maybe we'll make you rich again.